Yo, good evening. How's everybody? Shout out to Don Jose. How you doing? right, y'all hear me now? Yeah, well, one thing I gotta say, happy birthday to Georgia. So, big shout out to him. He's been a good friend and everything like that ever since I started the YouTube stream. So, happy birthday to him. Yeah, well, I was gonna talk about the urban scene or anything like that, but right now it could be open. So you're welcome to come up, Jose. Hey, Jose, how you doing?
Good evening, Don Armando. Thank you for allowing me on your platform.
Thank you. So, how's your healing and everything?
I'm doing fine. It's been 3 weeks since I've been walking with the aid of the cane, so I believe hopefully by the end of the month I'll be able to walk without any aid of a cane or anything. So, um, believe it or not, it's been 5 weeks since I had my knee surgery.
Wow. Yeah.
But a lot has gone down, particularly in the world of politics between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Yeah, talking about that, right? I was actually watching something about what Judge Joe Brown, right?
Yeah.
So Judge Joe Brown, when he was actually talking, he actually had a lot of information about Kamala Harris, right? So I guess certain people for what he actually said about her, because I guess he knows her father or so. So
Mm-hmm.
what Judge Joe Brown was claiming. Now, I'm just saying claiming because these are not my own words. He actually said that Kamala, that Kamala's father, right,
Mm-hmm.
is, is actually an Indian mixed with German that was just happened to be born in Jamaica. So he claims. This is
Mm-hmm.
what he claims, right? And then he went to talk about on how some Indians, since they have darker skin color, were actually acting like they were African American or so, and actually had scholarships due to people thinking that they were actually African American when the fact is they're actually Indian. I was like, wow. So he was just actually putting that out in the forefront when he had an interview with how should I say? I forgot what the YouTube channel is called, but I think it's dialogue or something. So he actually was detailing why Kamala Harris would not be good for the country, and he was talking about a case that he actually lost money in, and while
Mm-hmm.
she was actually having the case as such, she didn't really do anything to actually help or mitigate the situation either. So what he was saying, since he was a judge, and I guess he'd been in the study of law for a long time, he was saying that career prosecutors are not really nice people. I was like, wow. And he actually went into detail because of that. So he was talking about her track record as being a lawyer or, a prosecutor, and then, I guess the GA, what she was. So what he was actually saying that like from his standpoint, that he doesn't they when while she was doing her service in California, she doesn't have a good track record. I was like, wow, you got to actually listen to Judge Joe Brown because he actually is knowledgeable of what he's speaking.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, look, this is something that I highlighted when I did my short stream yesterday. Is that
yeah,
whenever you decide to run for president, you gotta they're
hmm
gonna dig up everything and everything about your past, and
right,
you're gonna have to give some sort of account. And what you can do is either acknowledge it, ignore it, or add your own nuance to it. Okay,
right,
because that's what's gonna happen.
and
Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
and it's even to the point that now you have certain African American women who are like, okay, she was saying like you think like this is like certain like the way that she's actually running her campaign is a joke. Like for example, certain people, whether it be how shall I say entertainment or anything like that, those are a lady who is actually on TikTok and Instagram, I believe. That think about it. You have certain type of entertainment if you're gonna go and fundraise, right?
Hmm.
So for her, so for her campaign or whatever shindig she actually had in Atlanta. So she actually brought Megan the Stallion out to perform, right?
Hmm.
So certain people was like, okay, why the heck you bringing Megan the Stallion to actually perform in your campaign when the fact is she's actually twerking and everything? And then to certain people who are the critics is like, that's not only shining a bad light on women in general, but you actually shine a bad light on African American women because not all African American women are twerkers.
Hmm.
So, and then the lady went to proceed saying that, like, if you're gonna go and have a show with Megan the Stallion twerking in your campaign rally or whatever, or fundraiser, whatever the case it is, like, you're just actually showing America what we're actually in for in the long run. If Kamala gets elected.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
let's keep it real. I mean, both these candidates have issues. Okay, it's just that
Yeah.
the difference is Kamala is like 19 years younger, and she's able to speak, in coherent sentences. Now
Mhm.
compare that to Donald Trump. Of course, we all most of us saw the interview where at the convention of black journalists where um, Trump did Trump, and the fact of the matter is he basically put his foot in his mouth several times. Okay,
Right. As
and
he always do, it's like nothing. It's
yeah,
like nothing going. That's surprising.
yeah. Now, my thing is this: if you're going to support somebody, whether it be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, you need to find out what is the actual platform. What is it they actually want to do? Okay. So what I did on my platform, I discuss um, Project 2025 and Agenda 47, which is the Republican platform. Now, when the
Right.
Democratic have their convention, I'm going to highlight also regarding what is their platform. Because the thing is, whoever you're going to support, you need to know why, and it should not be based on phenotype, whether he because um, Kamala Harris is a woman of color or that Donald Trump is white. You need to find out what is their goals, what is their platform, and then if you're comfortable with that.
Oh
And
yeah. No. Oh yeah. And also there's one thing that you actually that I think that you might have not mentioned is that you got is your faith based system or to other people's religion, because you have certain people that are actually just voting for Trump because they believe that their religious values is being threatened by the left. So you're actually seeing a lot of people who are actually might have been formerly Democrat are actually going to Trump's side because they believe that the Democratic Party is not aligned with their religious values. If you actually believe that.
Well, if you take a look at Donald Trump and his personal life, I mean, he does not illustrate much of a Christian life himself. I mean, being married, being married 3 times and being unfaithful, and then allegedly, because we have to say alleged, involved in an extramarital affair with a porn star. So, and also his rhetoric regarding people of color, it's not very Christ-like. Okay. Um,
Right.
so, and also another thing, what he wants to do is, first of all, weaken the system of checks and balances that exists here in this country. Number one, and also
Hmm.
regarding the the fact that he wants to get rid of the thousands of federal municipal employees to be placed with a bunch of with an army of basically yes men. Okay, so
Right.
if he's allowed to get away with doing that with on the federal level, that means there'll be other people try to do the same thing as far as the state level and the local level,
Right.
and no one's paying attention to that.
Hmm.
It's because basically what they're focusing on the fact that Kamala Harris is the first, she'll be the first woman president, things of that nature. I mean, you have to look past the superficial. Okay, I'm not voting for Trump because he doesn't speak nice or he doesn't know how to conduct himself. It's just that his policies I have major issues with. And believe me, I have issues with Kamala Harris as well. But we all see what happened when Donald Trump was in the White House. Okay, the way he handled the COVID-19 pandemic and the way he conducted his affairs as president of the United States. We cannot afford another 4 years of Donald Trump.
Right.
So all I'm going to say to those who support Donald Trump, do yourself a favor and actually study uh, Project 2025 and Agenda 47. And then after that, you decide whether or not you can still support him.
Yeah. I even had certain people like I guess they're having like maybe my political indifference. It's like it's even to the point that you're having people who are actually having the neither. So,
Mhm.
well, somebody that was actually close is like, okay, well, I actually consider family. One of them put like a sad face when I actually put
Mhm.
neither 2024 because I guess that they're a Trump supporter because of their values. I get it because I'm a Christian, but then if you really look at it, as you and I know, Trump has done a lot of unchristian stuff in his past. So with that, I guess we all have to put a count to how we live, and everything like that in this Christian life. But then I remember it was like a documentary when they were talking about like how when Trump actually got his became president, they was actually talking about how Donald Trump actually did not know anything what the documentary revealed about Christianity or anything like that. I was
Mhm.
like, wow. So there was actually they actually had a whole documentary about that on Netflix.
Well, it is alleged, and I'm going to say the word alleged because we cannot prove it either way. When
Yeah, I was gonna say alleged.
because we okay because one of his nephews, Fred Trump the third,
Yes,
actually went to the White House to try to advocate regarding the disabled. So it is
right.
alleged. It is alleged that that he said that these people who are disabled should die.
Wow.
Okay, alleged. Again, I state this alleged.
Yeah, I say alleged. Yeah.
Because let me tell you, because the fact of the matter is this: for any president to say anyone to allegedly make that type of a statement, considering that we do have people in this country that have physically disabled, mentally disabled, and that they should be allowed to die. That is a very poor statement, and that's not very Christ-like.
Right.
I mean,
It's not.
no, I mean,
And you have certain people, and then you have certain people that they can't help that they have a disability or such because they're born with it. So I'm just saying alleged, right? You're gonna
mhm,
have people who actually were born with a predisposed condition to them being disabled. You're gonna
mhm,
actually say wish that on them. That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I, I mean, and also there was one. I mean, one time he actually mocked a reporter who was disabled.
I remember.
Okay.
And you have certain people who act like who have like a cult following. They're actually applauding Donald Trump when he did that. I was like, really?
I mean, basically, the mega crowd it's a cult in itself, and basically Donald Trump is the so-called savior. He is a 78-old male whose cognitive skills has declined. Now, the same rhetoric he was mentioning regarding Joe
Or Joe
Biden now,
Biden?
yeah, now applies to him.
I mean, I see because it's like you know that, and the thing is though, when we're talking about Joe Brown and stuff. When it was talking about Joe Biden, there was actually saying that Joe Biden was actually having early onset. I don't know if it's dementia or anything, and he was saying the same thing about Kamala Harris. Also, I was like, wow, the way that he actually broke it down in detail is like you could tell that there might be factual what Judge Joe Brown is actually saying. I was like, wow,
Well, look, the issue is that both the Biden supporters and the Trump supporters, they don't want to acknowledge the fact that both their cognitive skills has declined. Okay,
right,
I mean, particular if look, I would challenge anyone who is a Trump supporter to actually examine his speeches without without the rose-colored glasses, and you can see for yourself that his cognitive skills has declined.
right,
Okay, and
hmm
really, I mean, look, and don't get me wrong. You can be in your 80s and even your 90s and still function reasonably well once you've maintained your cognitive skills. But once that goes,
right,
then I mean, next thing you know, I mean, cognitive skills does impair on your judgment.
yeah,
And even the most ardent Trump supporters must admit that Donald Trump of 2015 It's not the same Donald Trump. It's
That,
another
that, exactly.
good.
I mean, now they even politics and such because you have certain I guess between everybody's talking about JD Vance and his stance on certain issues, and it's like okay, like JD Vance is like the unlikely candidate of anything, right?
Mhm.
And I guess since he is, I guess the younger running mate or whatever, it's like his stance on certain stuff is like at first he was like anti-Trump, but now I guess it's Trump picked him or he's been I don't know if he's been a Republican all his life, but allegedly he was anti-Trump at one point of in time in his life that people supposedly actually exposed. But now since I guess talking about what he believes and everything, it's like okay, he was talking about how people who are childless or whatsoever, or I guess single or whatsoever, should be taxed more than married couples and all that other stuff, or couples with children. I was like, what? Really?
Well, speaking about JD Vance, I mean, he is of all the vice president, the Republican vice presidential candidates, he is the least popular since 1980.
Wow.
I mean, the least popular. Okay.
Some,
I mean, look, let me tell you something. When Bush, I mean, when Bush 41 was announced as Reagan's running mate, he had high favorable numbers. When you
right.
had Dan Quayle announced, high
Yeah.
favorable numbers. When you had
Hmm.
Jack Kemp, who was the Republican vice, running mate for Bob Dole, high favorable numbers.
Right.
JD Vance is the first VP candidate for the Republican Party that has negative favorable numbers.
Wow. And that says a lot.
So basically, he's not only is he not doing anything for Trump. I mean, he's making Trump less presentable. If you can do that,
Hmm.
good evening,
Yeah.
Irby. I mean, look. I mean, even uh, John McCain's running mate. I forgot who it is. Even she had much higher favorable numbers than JD Vance.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
and you know who influenced Donald Trump? His sons,
Hmm.
who know nothing about politics.
They really don't. And then on top of it, most of the sons are actually in charge of his companies. If
Mhm.
I if I'm correct, you have Ivanka Trump that she has I guess her her stance, and then you have certain people when it comes to the financially protected class, which I'm not going to mention because if
No.
you mention them by name, you're actually against them, even if you talk favorably about them. So I just call them the financially protected class.
Mhm.
So when you actually talk about them and everything like that, and the history between the financially protected class in America and Europe in general,
Mhm.
throughout the centuries, they didn't fa- they didn't fare good in Europe either.
Mhm.
And then right now, since the conflict in the Middle East, you've been seeing a lot of I guess violence towards the financially protected class.
Hmm. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is they've been persecuted by
Hmm.
multiple groups throughout history. Okay,
Yes.
so of course, when you're dealing with a group of people that have been persecuted for so long, I mean, it's only natural that they're going to look at things through a different perspective. But even with that, Donald Trump is criticizing them if they vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah, but then it's like with the Democrats, when it comes to black people in general, Joe Biden was like, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. I'm like, okay, so that right there, when he actually first said that, I was like, that sounds like a weird statement for a person to make. And then on top of it, a lot of people forget who is Joe Biden's mentor, Strom Thurmond,
Hmm.
the most the most hypocritical racist man ever to grace the political scene.
Hmm. Yeah.
Why I say hypocritical is because of one thing. While he was going around talking about his hatred towards African Americans and everything like that, it came out. I don't know through his passing or I guess in his lifetime that he actually fathered a child was an African American woman,
Hmm.
and they actually went and they interviewed his child with an African American woman. He went up and actually paid for, I guess, her education and everything.
Hmm.
So it's like this man had all these racist views on African American people in general, right? Strom
Hmm.
Thurmond.
Yeah.
But then, if you're so against African American people in general, why is it that a person with those racist values will actually go with a person that they don't not like, and then make it and then bring life into this world?
Hmm.
It's mind boggling.
Well, let's keep it real. There's a lot of hypocrisy all over the place. I mean, the Republican Party is supposedly the party of family, okay, but yet many of their policies has actually hurt families here in this country, okay. Um, and how many?
And
I mean. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and then on top of it, the hypocrisy is that allegedly, and I'm just going to say allegedly, right?
Yeah.
Free Donald Trump. And I was just thinking about this because it's a rumor, so therefore that's what I'm saying is allegedly. Whenever that there was a Republican convention in any city in the United States, now in any major city in the United States or any town or whatsoever,
Hmm.
the Republican convention, national convention or whatsoever, whenever they came into the town where they were at and stuff, allegedly the street workers got paid heavy that day
Hmm.
because of all these supporters of the Republican National Convention. So that right there just told me that this political party is full of crap when it comes to talking about family values and everything like that. But yet You have a lot of street workers that actually make bank when that organization comes to town, and I guess they actually quit actually being street walkers when they actually come to town because they actually have a higher payday that they ever had ever in their lives.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm saying is the magic.
Yeah. Well, look, and I've said this many times, and I'm going to keep saying it again. Okay, that's why the position is called commander in chief, not pastor in chief. Because if you take a look at his history throughout the United States, many of the men that was president had low moral character. Okay, you had people. I mean, you had presidents that actually owned slaves. You have
You know,
presidents who allegedly engage in
and
adult
grooming.
relations with slaves. You had Woodrow Wilson that actually showed the film "Birth of the Nation" in the White House, which is a glorification of the Ku Klux Klan. You
But then you
had
forgot one. But then you forgot that there was a president. I forgot what his name is. That he actually was a groomer.
mhm, okay,
So that means so that means that what a lot of people are talking about grooming is that when you see a person and and he was actually telling the president, I forgot what his name was. He was saying that my wife hasn't been born yet. So I guess that he went and groomed a young woman to be his wife. Now, in that adage, I think that's creepy too. But then
okay,
again, but then again, it's like you have a lot of people that they're actually being called out for being groomers in that sentiment nowadays.
yeah. And look, the fact of the matter is, John Kennedy, it was alleged, had several affairs while he was president. Okay,
Yeah,
one of them was with Marilyn Monroe. The others was like with women who were alleged to organize crime. So I mean, the fact of the matter is, you have many men of low moral character serving as president.
yeah,
So I mean, that's why it's called commander in chief, not pastor in chief. And for someone like Donald Trump, they're talking about Christian values, but yet he says anti-Christian rhetoric against people of color.
yeah. So okay, talking about the president that was allegedly a groomer. It was Grover Cleveland
Oh,
that actually has that reputation to his name. Now I'm
yes.
saying alleged because he's not here to defend himself, but they're actually talking about how it was weird.
Mhm. Yeah, he actually married someone in her early 20s, I believe.
He actually known this woman since birth,
Uh,
allegedly.
yeah. Well, you know, like I said before, I mean, throughout history, there have been men of low moral character who have been president. And I would ask that whether it be whoever you're supporting, take a look at their
Hmm.
platforms. Take a look at their platforms, and then you decide whether you can still support them. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna vote for Kamala Harris. I'm not all that crazy about her, but I mean, we cannot allow Trump to regain the White House again.
Right. I mean, unlike me, I'm just me personally. I'm not. I think I might just bow out, or I might just I'm gonna just put my whole support towards Kennedy Jr.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm actually to the. It's actually to the point that even though it was 2020, I was actually having a dissatis. I was actually being dissatisfied with both of those parties. Meaning, I was dissatisfied with the Republicans, and I was dissatisfied with the Democrats because there's certain values that now in this country and everything like that, you could actually get fired for having for saying the wrong pronouns. And I believe that the Democrats actually made that happen.
Well, I mean, look, at my job, we're giving diversity training, and technically, in one training that I participated, if someone needed to go to the restroom, technically you're supposed to say, "Well, the men's room is over there, the ladies' room is over there, and the gender neutral bathroom is over there."
You see that's one thing. That's one thing that I'm like, okay, you have certain people who are staunch Democrats who are like, yay, gender neutral. I'm like, no, I don't know, but I see a fiasco waiting when it happens. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know in the past or anything like that. I'm just talking about the past.
Hmm.
I'm talking about the thousands of years and everything like that.
Yes.
I don't know if there was communal bathrooms between men and women and such, but I could see a lot of stuff go wrong with gender neutral bathrooms. That just means saying because you have certain people who have different belief systems and such like that, or different ideologies, I might say. And then
Hmm.
you have certain people that they don't know that maybe in their inner core they don't respect people. So I could see a lot of stuff actually happening with in the long run that'll actually bring a floodgates of lawsuits and everything like that. But that's just me thinking out
Hmm. Now we have to acknowledge the fact that there is a small number of people that were born with a defect where they have genitalia of both male and female,
loud. Right.
and we have
Um.
to and we have to show compassion towards those individuals.
All
But
right.
that's a small minority. We're talking about people that, for whatever reason, perceive that they need to have to undergo a procedure to change their their gender of identity from male to female, and vice versa.
Hmm.
And then there are those who are gender neutral or they're undefined. And then it's then how the heck do you properly address these people without insulting them? I mean,
Yeah. That's why I'm like, yo. I mean, they haven't like in my job. They haven't done anything. I mean, there's somebody that I know that it was like, okay, all right, we thought that that person was one thing, but it turned out that it was that person's another. So it was like, okay, that person uses the men's bathroom and everything. And we never really thought about it, but me and my friend, we was actually talking. He was like, "Yo, woman's just using the men's bathroom." I'm like, "Dag." And the thing is, though, if you actually look at the person, you actually would think that that person's a dude.
Mhm.
like facial hair and everything like that.
Yeah.
But little that anybody knows, that person, identified, well, it was, I guess, is really a female. So it's like, I don't even know. It's like, you can't even put a label on that anymore.
Well, one thing I believe is you have to have restroom facilities for those individuals who are either undefined as far as their gender or gender neutral. Okay, um,
Right,
because you do have people who are born that way. Okay,
right,
and then you have people who are in the process of transitioning to one sex to another.
right.
The problem is that you have certain individuals, which is a small group, that
Hmm.
will try to take advantage of that, to try to take advantage of, say, members of the opposite sex or even young children.
Exactly.
So it becomes an issue when you see a person that looks like that could be a linebacker for the New York Jets, saying that they are female and insisting they use the ladies' room. That could be a problem.
Oh yeah, talking about that, that there's a big controversy in the Olympics because a lady she actually sustained wounds after a boxing match.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are actually boycotting the boxing matches, like because like keep men out of women's sports and such.
Hmm.
And you're actually having a lot of petitions, and this has actually been going on for months, saying that keep men out of women's sports because a lot of these a lot of them, I guess, people who identify as transgender are actually hurting women when they're
Hmm.
actually competing when they're actually competing as women. When the fact is, it's like I'm like, yo, there was a case that it was a UFC fight or whatsoever that it was a trans athlete pitted against a woman. They said that the trans athlete's punches were so bad he actually he actually fractured a woman's skull on how hard the trans athlete was hitting. But if that trans athlete was to actually go against men, for example, it would not actually be the same because they'll say that that person is not actually a good athlete. The same
Hmm.
thing with the swimmer that there was like before that person was trans, he was not actually a good athlete as a male to begin with. But I guess when that person started to identify as trans and then started doing the sport or whatsoever, it felt like that the trans athlete has an unfair advantage. And people are actually seeing it, and they're actually boycotting it, and they're actually signing worldwide uh, petitions to actually
Hmm.
say like, hey, stop, like we need to stop this.
Yeah. Well, I remember. I think it was Dee Dee. Um, she's a huge YouTube creator. She made, she did a video regarding Brittany Garner.
Oof.
Okay, okay, who who they just, they have a child. I guess is through artificial insemination, what have you. And her wife actually referred to Brittany Garner as a dude. So there was a lot of
I mean,
confusion.
yeah. I mean, if you actually look at it, Brittany Donner, that was the lady that was actually arrested in Russia, I believe, right?
Yes, but basically for smuggling in,
Smoking weed.
a foreign substance into Russia.
Right. So with that said, right, it's like with Brittany Donner and everything like that, and they saying that they referring to a dude and everything. I know that Brittany Donner's a female, but if you actually look at it, she more like a dude. I don't know if she's taking hormones or anything like that.
You know,
So,
well, the first thing I thought about, maybe she's a trans woman.
right.
Maybe someone who was a man but just became a woman through altering surgery.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, that doesn't seem the case. So, she's actually all woman. It's just that she just actually, she's just actually of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, Pete, how you doing?
Well, it's good evening, everyone. Blessings.
Good evening.
Blessings. Yeah. So we know before you came, we was just actually holding it down, talking about, I guess, the current events of this country and everything. So
And
what's your take on? So what's your take on, the presidential race? Because I know you served this country, so I know that your viewpoints is different from ours.
I knew that when they set up for people to vote, I know that no, it doesn't matter who we vote for, whoever's going to take the office, they already know who's going to take the office.
All
It's
right.
the old system of power to the people where we elect who goes into office, and that exists for small political campaigns and small office positions. Big office
All right.
positions, they already know who's going to be who.
Okay.
It's sad because they let these people run these political rallies and give everyone their own personal feel of who's going to be who and who's going to be what. But you know how many times Bernie Sanders has tried to run for president? You know how many people love Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders never been president. It goes to
Yeah,
show
it's
you.
like that means like 4 or 5 times, but then you know that Bernie Sanders is a part of the. I'm just gonna say this because this is YouTube, the financially for protected class, and for some reason, when you see certain people who are of the financially protected class, they never become president of this country. I've been seeing this for years. Not only with Bernie Sanders, but you have certain people who are actually other politicians who are actually under the financially protected class. They will never become president. It's them and the Italians or people of Italian descent. You will never see these people aspire to become
The last,
president.
the last president that tried to run this country under his own regard was assassinated, and that was JFK. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
JFK tried to change the systematic order of how presidents are built in this country, and because of that, he got one to the head. You know, and
Yeah.
it's sad because no one's expecting change to happen when they petition these politicians to step up to office. You know, we're forgetting that because this is a so-called diplomatic country, constitutionalized country, you know, we think that whoever's president of the United States is the king of the United States. And the truth of the fact is that's not true. The president is not the king. The president is just the face of the country. You know what I'm saying? The president is another pawn, you know what I'm saying, just like any other political person in office. The people that run this country are big pharmaceutical, big tech, big food. These companies, major companies, these are the monopolies that run the United States. Whenever they say jump, politicians ask how high. And they're quick to make up any story they need to make up so that the news can feed us this information to give us a false sense of, oh, the government has so much power. They do, but they don't. And this is the problem with today's generation. We don't come together to rise up as a people and tell the government that they're doing wrong, because we're so used to the government subjugating us. We're so used to the government being on top of us, as opposed to the power actually being to the people.
Yes, I actually believe that too because it's like okay. When I actually started to being skeptical to the political process in the United States, right? When I had a fellow Latina sister that went and tried to tell me that Hillary Clinton was for us and for women's rights and whatsoever the case, and then there was certain stuff that she was saying that doesn't actually align with my personal values. So I didn't vote for neither in 2016 when it happened. I was still living in the city by then. And now with all this election talk, I'm actually feeling that way again, even more.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Shout out to Fatal. Shout out to our other person here at the studio.
Ah,
Don Jose.
Bendiciones, bendiciones.
gracias.
It's I see a lot of things happening, and a lot of people will think that it's politics, but it's actually not politics. It's actually like a sort of operations. America has this operation called Operation Jackal, and it's an operation to dethrone foreign policies. They used Operation Jackal in Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? They used Operation Jackal um in Kuwait, in Kosovo. They try to like nobody pays attention to these things because really has the time to sit around and listen to international news? When you hear and look at international news, you see what America's
Hmm.
really up to. Because
Yeah.
the news in other countries, they don't really um, outline fake history or fake stories. When America's doing something weird in their country, it comes out in the news that and Americans are doing this and this and this in this country, ta 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 ta. But nobody pays attention to that because we're looking at the news from the American standard. We're looking at Fox 5, seeing finessed news.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you one example of finesse news that really upset me.
All
Um,
right.
One time there was this 14-year-old black boy who saved and um, rescued an 8-year-old white girl from getting kidnapped, and
Right.
he was on a bike. The kidnappers were in a car. He biked his bike for almost 30 minutes and did what he could to rescue the girl. Why wasn't that young hero on the news? But they had some stupid squirrel on the news.
Mm.
That got an 8-minute segment about a stupid squirrel on the news, but don't have a 1-minute segment about that young black hero that rescued that girl. What is wrong with today's news?
Exactly.
Today's news, apparently, it's not to inform you, it's just to entertain you. It's all part of the
Yes.
entertainment business. So they'll feed you whatever scandal they want so that you can feel some kind of way about people that you don't even know,
Hmm.
and or they'll feed you some type of lollygag in between to make you think, oh, everything's hunky dory. Like, it's not true. I'll be right back, Al.
Okay.
All right.
Well, look,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, this is at least the third presidential election in a row where we're gonna have to pick with two people which have major issues. Okay.
Right.
I mean, and it's going to continue as long as we don't have a viable third party alternative.
Candidates.
Okay. Because what's going to
It's like we
happen?
have, we have viable third party things, but the thing is, though, there's one thing that's a lot of people are not understanding. There's no money behind them. Right. If we want to, as a people, right?
Yes.
And we put our monies and everything like that towards the election, or you have celebrities that can give us a third party solution, you will see you'll see the political landscape of the United States change so drastically.
Hmm. Yeah.
The
I
only one
mean,
that people,
mhm.
that people, I remember as a kid that they did not like because he was anti-establishment, I believe, was Ross Perot,
Hmm.
the CEO of Texas Instruments. He actually had his own money to fund his campaign, but people at that time was not seeing like what it was about.
Hmm.
We might need like another Ross Perot again in
In
order
fact,
for the
yeah. In fact, let's take a look. The last time that you actually have an election where at least superficially there was some sort of you know uh, courtesy was the 2008 election, where John McCain actually had to put somebody's own supporters in check because they were talking about Barack Obama is a Muslim, that people need to fear Barack Obama and all that. And he had to put his own supporters in check, saying, no, I mean, Barack Obama is a decent man who I have disagreements as far as the policies for this country.
hmm
So you take a look at 2008 and you compare to 2016 or 2020 or this year. Okay, this year, where a major candidate is referred to as a DEI selection. Now,
what I've been hearing that all the time. But what is DEI again?
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Hmm.
Okay,
Wow.
and all this directed at Kamala Harris. Now,
Yeah.
I said this before. The problem is whenever you are the first person of whatever to run for president, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of unreasonable expectations. Kennedy had to go through that in 60. Barack Obama had to
Yeah.
go through that 2008. Kamala Harris is dealing
hmm
with it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can just imagine whenever there is a Latino that's running for president who's a major party candidate, or even someone from
Or
the alphabet community.
or the
Okay.
Asian community Well, let's just put it like this. I'm saying the person who's fully Asian, like Vivek Ramaswamy, right? That he was actually campaigning for whatsoever. So if you actually look at the people who were actually trying to be contender for the Republican ticket, you had Vivek Ramaswamy, who is fully Indian, I guess, even though he was born in the United States. And then you have Nikki Hale, that she is actually white, Yet she has Indian ancestry as well.
Mhm.
So if you actually look at this news and everything like that, alongside with Kamala Harris, you actually have people who are also of Indian origin stepping into the political scene more than a person who might be of Korean or Chinese origin.
Mhm.
So it's mind-boggling, but at the same time, it's a history maker,
Yeah.
so to say.
Well, history is going to be made regardless who wins, who get elected. Should Donald Trump get elected, he will be the second person to be elected to two non-consecutive 4-year terms. Should Kamala Harris become elected, she will become the first female president and the first female president of color.
She'll be the first. Yeah, she'll be the first, I believe, Asian president as well because of her background.
Well,
So
technically she would be called a Blasian.
yes.
Okay. So
Where if Nikki Hale were to actually continue, and maybe if she was to win, she would actually become the first Eurasian president.
mhm.
Yeah.
Now, actually, now this is the crazy part because JD Vance was not Donald Trump's first pick. I mean, again,
Mm-mm.
I mean, the one who basically convinced him was his sons, Donald Jr. and Eric Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He could have just easily picked Amanda Color or another female or a Latino to be his running mate.
Mm-hmm.
But he picks the one, the first VP candidate to have negative figures in 40
I
years.
mean, whatever happened to his vice president? What's his name? I forgot his name. The vice president that never spoke that much.
You talk about Mike Pence?
Exactly. I was
Okay.
actually thinking that he was going to run with him.
No. That's not possible because they had issues between the two of them. No. Whoever Donald Trump was going to pick is going to be another yes man or yes person.
Mm. All right.
So there's no way he would have picked Mike Pence again.
Mm.
But I will say this much: whoever get elected, it's going to be a very close election, very close.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what is amazing that in the short time, Kamala Harris has raised over $300 million for her campaign.
Mm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But in fact, I'm going to be doing a stream tomorrow night. Um,
All right.
with the topic is going to be: is Donald Trump afraid of debating with Kamala Harris? And the short answer
I
is
mean,
yes. Yes.
mm. Yeah.
Because remember, they had scheduled two debates. One they had in June, the other one was going to be in September with ABC. Donald Trump backed out of the second debate.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
so Donald Trump is basically your typical bully. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
talks a lot, but when it talks a lot, he's all big and tough and whatever. But yet, when faced with pressure, he's not so tough.
Right.
Okay, so
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that was the call from the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to log in via my laptop, and it noticed that I was on a phone call, so it said that I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. I'm like, oh, okay, great.
Right.
Anywho,
It'll be like that sometimes.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Politics, man. It's
yeah,
easy, it's, it's easy to get lost in politics because as much as half of it is real, the other half isn't. And politics has nothing to do with the greater good of humanity or the greater good of a community. Politics is exactly that, politics. It's a back and forth of agendas and ideologies, but nothing really gets pushed forward. It's entertainment. Let's entertain each other with what we think is right, but we're not going to do it once we become whatever we become.
Right.
When I think about politicians, in the back of my mind, I see a wolf on a microphone telling all the sheep, and I promise to become vegan if you elect me.
Yep. Matter of fact, I think I shared a meme about that on Facebook.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
That's what I see. Oh, and I promise to become vegan if elected. Right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
gonna turn vegan, all right.
hmm
Yeah.
Instead of giving the people what they want, you're just letting the people hear what they want, and they conform with that.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, though, I think I'm going to actually do my study about Jekyll and how it actually affected other countries also.
How
yeah.
what affects other countries?
What you was talking about earlier about it was Jackal.
Oh, Operation Jackal. Yeah, look that up.
Yeah.
Look that up. It's a movement. You know, it's a political movement based off of military power to move, dismantle, and take over foreign governments, which is basically what we did in Iraq. We took over Iraq supposedly to help them to politic better, supposedly to help them police better. But at the end of the day, we all know we invaded Iraq just to get the oil. And how is it that price of oil is still skyrocketing in America? Because it's a story. Let's pretend that we don't have the oil that we went to go take. And say that, oh, but Venezuela's messing up. That's why we don't have gas. So our gas is expensive. When at the end of the day, we've been we've been set in the Middle East for over 20 years. That's over 20 years of product of oil, crude oil, black gold, whatever you want to call it, that this country's been siphoning off, and the American people are still paying high prices for gas, like if they don't got it right now.
hmm
Hmm.
Crazy,
Wow.
man. It's crazy.
yeah,
That America shouldn't be facing the type of of regression that gas is $4 a gallon. That America shouldn't be going through that with all the gallons and gallons and not gallons, because it's not measured by gallons, it's measured by barrels. With all these barrels of oil that they've been getting from overseas, how is it that we're still paying $4 and $5 for a gallon of gas? That just makes no sense.
Yeah. Talking about Operation Jackal, do you think that the conflict in Ukraine and Russia actually plays into Operation Jackal as well?
I'm not gonna say it's Operation Jackal because it's two different countries that are set in their ways. You know, Operation Jackal is more like when America comes in, either via the front door, via politics, or the back door, via military power, and they take over the country basically. And they set up a new government, and then we give that government back to their people, but now it's bylawed by America. So they have to fall in line with whatever America says. It's the same thing England was doing when they were conquering the whole world.
Right.
England conquered over 23 countries around the world.
Yeah.
That's a big
Hmm.
step. That's a big step. That's a big if anybody's ever played the game of Stratego or the game of Risk, that's a big strategy move. To have conquered half the
Yeah.
world, and have the politicians that are running those places still have to pay a taxes to Great England. That's
Well, I
wild.
mean, well, you ever had the saying that the sun never set in the British Empire? It's because they own 25% of the world's surface at one time. Okay,
That's wild.
and yeah, and the fact of the matter is, um, you have now the British Commonwealth, of which you have several countries that pay money to Great Britain.
America's
Oh
one.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you actually look at it, me and my friend, we was actually talking about a case that happened, and it involves Vibes Cartel and deletion of a person, right?
Okay.
So as you know, Vibes Cartel, he's actually spent 13 years in jail for for a deletion of a person.
Right.
So there was evidence and everything, but yet the thing is though there was no corpse. So with that deletion stuff, he actually was, I guess, and then you had certain cops that were actually corrupt and such.
Right.
So they actually had to go to the high courts in England because you have certain countries who are actually anglophone, I guess, within their laws or whatever. So
Yeah.
they actually had to. So they actually had to go to England to make sure that Vibes Cartel was to be a free man, and he got freed like 2 or 3 days ago. So
That's wild.
that goes to show you that certain people still pay. It goes back to the point that you have certain countries that we think that are just liberated with by themselves, but they still actually pay England, the UK underhandedly, or is no. So that's crazy though.
Yeah.
But the honest truth about all that has a lot to do with money. You know, Vibes Cartel is not just famous worldwide because of their music. That their music has formed a part of what is Jamaican culture in London, what is Jamaican culture in Japan, Jamaican culture wherever there's Jamaican culture. Vibes Cartel has vibed and made a name for itself. So the government sees that these people have what we call a public power. You know what I'm saying? So they come after people like this to destroy their public image so that the people stop giving support to these people. Because that's how people have power. You don't necessarily have power yourself as a person, but when you have a following, that makes you a powerful person.
Mm.
So Vibes Cartel as a group is a powerful entity because they're popular amongst the people, and they're people that have used their money to do good deeds in the community in different countries. So automatically, someone does something wrong. Oh yeah, we're gonna throw it out in the light. Vamos a sacarle los trapitos al sol. We gotta make everything noticeable to the people that you're doing things in the dark. All right, but how is it that you're not manifesting the things I do in the light, though? You're quick to talk about my darkness, but not about my lightness.
Right.
So yeah, I remember the whole Vibes Cartel situation when he unalived somebody. They made a huge deal out of that. Like if the military doesn't have to unalive people on a daily basis under order,
Yeah.
but we don't talk about that because it's sanctioned. Is there really anything considered a sanctioned unaliving sanction? Like, come on, man. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
There's no justifying it with a special bylaw or a special what do you call this? Executive Command Code 22305. You have the license to kill whoever we tell you to, and that's it. It don't work like that,
Wow.
man. God is gonna really call a lot of people to attention, and it's not gonna be pretty.
Yes. It's not.
It's really not.
I mean, I'm just saying because in the when it goes back to a lot of politics and everything like that, and and it's to the point that certain people who actually have a nuance about how, like I'm saying, for us as Dominicans, they have a nuance and they want to try to say, hey, we wish we could go back to the times of Trujillo because, they heard of what their parents went through and stuff like that, that they thought that their parents were super rich in the Trujillo era. Um, I bet you differ because, like a lot of people who talk about this big thing about Trujillo, my parents actually lived under the Trujillo regime. So,
My great grandpa was part of Trujillo's Secret Service.
wow.
All right. So, and my great grandpa was what we call in Spanish analfabeto, meaning someone that didn't know about letters. He knew how to write his name. He knew how to count money, but he didn't know nothing else. All right. But this man
Well,
worked on the cane fields, on the sugar cane fields with Trujillo before Trujillo became anybody. So when Trujillo came up into power, he took my great grandpa with him. And my great grandpa was one of his first Secret Service guards.
mm,
Yeah.
wow.
Interesting.
And it's like my okay, my grandfather, who I never met. What my dad and what a lot of people have told me that he used to be with Mauricio Baez,
Yeah.
my grandfather, but it's not written in the history books.
Right.
But it might be written in soon because I don't even have a picture of my grandfather, my dad's father.
A lot of
So
a lot of politics, especially in our country, when there's positive moves, it's normally kept quiet because people that do good things, they tend to disappear. So a lot of people that were in politics and people that were helping people in politics, they were never mentioned for their own safety.
Hmm.
yeah, and it was fun. And while we was talking, I remember when you and I was talking about a person about a person that you actually knew that he actually passed away in a Dominican prison because he actually stood his ground intellectually against the Dominican government. I that blew me away.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could think of a few people, but I think of one of the bros. Rest in peace to my brother King Holt. From Santiago. That man. That man went to jail fighting politically for the nation's rights, fighting politically for the human rights of the people, and he literally went to jail over politics because he didn't go to jail for nothing violent that he did. He didn't go to jail for drugs. He didn't go to jail for none of that. He literally went to jail over of a political argument, political debates with major people of the city, major people of Congress and DR. So they locked him up, and it didn't matter how long they had him locked up or wherever they put him at. He kept preaching the same thing and letting people know that the government isn't right. Don't expect them to be right. Stand up for your family and make sure that you live in faith because God's coming soon. And they didn't like it because the man is preaching positivity. They don't want no one to preach positivity. They don't want the people to have hope. They want the people to be down.
Yeah, and that ain't cool either.
Nope. No, it's not.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Rest in peace to
So rest in peace
Anthony.
to that man.
Yeah, there's a few brothers that I know that went to jail for political reasons and died in jail. And it's like, sheesh.
Yeah.
And I get it. Listen, I'm not one to justify anything. I've always said your actions will judge you depending on how you live your life and what you do. When you end up in jail for something that has nothing to do with violence or nothing to do with robbery, nothing to do with anything, it's a eye opener. Like, why is this person in jail then? Oh, because we don't believe in what they believe in. That's no reason for you to lock somebody up. Oh, we're locking them up because we don't want them to promote their message. Ah, you don't want the message to
Oh,
be
yeah, yeah,
promoted.
yeah. Like for example, there's a content creator on here. Shout out to Xtina and everything like that.
Shut up.
And I've actually seen it right there. Now, in the past, maybe you could actually agree with me that a person who might have had communist sentiments or anything like that, and if they could actually defend themselves by debating and everything like that, they might have been like in the olden times. They might have faced persecution as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, listen,
but
at the time,
now,
and if we talk about the time of Trujillo was an era where you weren't allowed to talk politics. Because if you said anything
uh,
against El Jefe, it was a wrap for you. It was a wrap for your house, everything.
yep,
It was a wrap. So there was a time where you weren't allowed to politics. You didn't have freedom of speech because that man took that freedom of speech away. Is that you either talk good about me or you don't exist.
right,
And that's called dictatorship. The man ran a strong dictatorship, but that also meant that the Dominican peso was the equivalent of one Dominican dollar. There was a point where
yeah,
DR was a strong entity. Now we have the dollar at 58 pesos, $1. That's 58 times
yeah.
stronger than our own. That's not good.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, it's convenient for us that we live here and then when we go over there, we change the money, but it's not good for the people that live in the country. You know,
It's not.
like why does the American dollar have to do with the inflation of the value of stuff in our country? It goes to show how much we depend on America. Why? What political what
And,
po- what
uh,
political bonds? It's crazy. Go ahead, bro.
and then there's one thing that I don't understand, right? And I was just born and I was born here in the United States. So yeah, my thought process is a little bit different than I guess a born Dominican. Now my things is this: Dominican Republic has could be the maybe the first version will be like what Singapore is in Asia. Because Singapore is a small country, literally a small country, but it produced billions of dollars and everything like that. Now,
Right.
now República Dominicana could be the same thing, but there's one thing that I see is actually dividing and everything. You like I never seen like in the short history from what I've seen as far as Dominican history. Okay, yeah, there was three parties once. Now it's like five or six,
It's crazy.
five or six. Like for example, when I was
Political
growing up,
parties?
yeah, like for
Nah, bro. In
example,
DR, there's 26 political parties.
yeah, but I'm saying the major ones. For example, you had the Partido Revolucionario Social Cristiano. That was Balaguer, right at the
Yeah.
time.
The
Then you
Red.
had right, and then you had the Partido. You had the Purple People, which was Lionel's
Partido
party at that
Liberal
time.
Dominicano,
Partido
PLD.
Revolucionario Dominicano, yeah, and then the PRI.
PRI,
So
which is
you,
a part of the blue team, el
you
Partido Revolucionario Dominicano, PRD.
yeah, yeah. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that those two parties were actually created by one Bush.
Juan Bo, rest in peace.
Rest in peace to him.
Mhm.
PLD was created by Juan
Wow.
Bo too.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Those
El
two parties
PRI,
was created by one Bush.
el PRI, el PLD y el PRD, los tres fueron creados por Juan Bo.
Hmm.
That's political power. That's having a following.
It,
Even if it's separated into three groups. That's the power of
yeah.
following.
Yeah.
Juan Bo,
But then. Hmm.
Even Trujillo was worried about Juan Bo because of the power that he had politically.
Yeah.
The man wasn't a fighter or nothing like that. He wasn't a war specialist, a tactician, a strategist, none of that. He had political power. The people loved him. He loved his people and he took care of his communities. So he was an easy man to love. You know? So
Yeah.
Trujillo looked at that and said, nah, that's too easy. I'm gonna make people love me with fear.
Yeah. And then what a lot of people don't understand was his understudy was Balaguer.
Yeah, Juan Bo's understudy was Balaguer.
Hmm. I mean,
Balaguer
Trujillo's too.
Balaguer did a great job, bro. Let's not ever try to sit on that like
Well,
it's yeah.
I'm not even gonna say that because I just remember Balaguer. You know, as he did what he did. I can't really say anything political. I can't really go around and say, "Oh, he was bad" or anything like that. Well, maybe people of my father's generation can, but I know. But when I came there as a visitor, so I can't really say, "Oh, I know the whole political spectrum of it." I just know that certain people they loved on Biden, and certain people they disliked his policies.
Do you know what INEPRE is?
I've heard of it.
Okay, INEPRE is like it's a government sponsored marketplace where everything is cheaper because the farmers are paid in full by the government. All right. So
Right.
when you go and you make a line for the INEPRE line, they give you certain things for free because they were already paid for by the government. Of course, if you want to buy more stuff, you can, and it'll be dirt cheap. But INEPRE
Mm.
wasn't sponsored by Balaguer, but INEPRE was upgraded by Balaguer. So a lot of people had love for him over the fact that he was facilitating food for people. You know,
Yeah.
there's no faster way to a man's heart than through his belly, right?
Yep.
That works for the people apparently. That's a political move.
Exactly.
And not only that, but I can think about other things. The government truck they used to pass around every month, and they would ask only one family member of each family make the line. No two people of the same family, because we need to make sure that everyone gets fed. And they would give out sacks of rice, beans, oil, this, that, the third. You know,
I remember seeing that because there used to be a program, not Santo Domingo and Vita. There used to be like a Dominican program when I was like maybe 15 or 16 that they actually reported on Dominican issues, and they actually translated it. So I can't remember what it was, but I know that at the time it was on Channel 25 in New York. So therefore, every blessed night they actually talked about Dominican issues at 9 o'clock p.m. in New York, and that's how I started seeing what was going on in Dominican Republic. And right now that you mentioned that, I remember seeing that on that television program.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I was texting out. Um, yeah, man, this the politics never end, man. There's always something that can be spoken about.
Mhm.
yeah,
It's ki- it's kind of like a never-ending series. It
right.
goes on forever.
It's that song from Lamb Chop. It's the song that doesn't end.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah,
And believe it or not, it's what I base my opinions on life experience, things that I've seen, and people that I know. And it's never going to be the efforts of just one person that's going to change anything in this world. If we're not bond and tied together as a group, as a political group or something, the government is never going to want to hear our voice, since the voice of one person doesn't move anything, unless that one person is obviously God, because God can move whatever He wants without having to touch it.
right. That is true.
And yeah, man, we're tied and bound to the laws of the land, and the laws of the land have expanded to the extent where it has taken the power away from its people, and the power now sits in government offices, judgmental robes and stuff like that. If you're not someone that serves the community or someone that serves the state and or government, you're not visualized or looked at as someone who could be important ever, because you're not important now. It's such a weird way of looking at stuff. Like people don't have a future. People can't change. You know, I don't get it. It's like they expect people to fail. Now I understand why they call it the American dream, because they want you to sleep as opposed to, you know, doing anything productive. They want you to be in a state of sleep. It's just crazy.
I mean, if you actually look at it, when you, and I have to say this because I'm seeing a trend within our community that a lot of people are not actually talking about it. You seem like you seen people who are younger than us losing their lives by other people who are like us. And then a lot of people they want to go and they want to focus on certain stuff that this, that, and the third. But the fact is, you're not actually. I don't see a lot of people actually putting their foot down and saying like, "Yo, like man, stop unaliving each other."
Right.
Like our parents didn't go and want us to be. They didn't want us to be, in jail or anything like that. But yet, I'm seeing like even within the Dominican movement that you have certain people that we could have been so much more if we just stayed out of prison.
I mean, it's easier said than done when people lose the love of what they feel is the love of home. and they find it in the street, especially in DR, the street becomes your home. You know, the street becomes your family. The street becomes your moral code and your value. You know, and it's easy to lose focus. You know, oh, my family. They'll be like, "What about family? Like, family has me in this corner right now. You know, it's because of family that I'm, you know, in the predicament that I'm at." I know a lot of people fail to understand that family is an institution to help you grow, not necessarily protect you all the way, but to help you grow so that you can become an adult and do things on your own accord. Not become an adult and still think like a child and do things on your own accord because you don't know how to move like an adult. You're moving like a
Mm.
child with an adult's body, you know, and it's
Mm.
just sad, man. It's sad. You know, it's sad. You know, I
It
don't know
is.
how we expect our generations to be any better if we're out here as children having children. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us, in my personal case, you know, I had kids when I was young, you know, but I wasn't necessarily mature yet. You know, maturity came with
Um,
time. Maturity came with the progression of me having children. I felt like I was
mhm.
forced to mature. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's very different nowadays. It's like I see these parents that their kids, you know, they're young and they have kids and they don't want to step up to the responsibility of their young. They want to step up to the responsibility of what they want to do because they think they're still young. Like,
Well,
no, you're 24 years old with two kids. You shouldn't be clubbing. Clubbing is what got you there in the first place.
Right.
well, well. You see, part of the problem is you have people who are making poor poor choices, they're exercising poor judgment as far as who they get into relationships, and in the case of women, making poor choices as far as
Living for the
who
moment.
they who they give that unique privilege of bearing a child for 9 months.
Right.
And then they don't do it once, they do it again and again and again. And that yet they complain that there's no good men out there. Okay.
Right.
So it's like you make poor judgment and you expect someone to clean up your mess and you don't even want to follow that person's lead.
Right.
Okay. And I said it before. I mean, not all single moms are the same. You have
Correct.
some single moms who are very responsible and they took an accountability for the fact that they are single moms and they're doing the best they can. And then you have some single moms that basically, you know, they're not being responsible. And some of them are actually competing with their own daughters with the same guys. Okay. And
Yeah.
then and then
It's,
they
it,
complain. Yeah, and then they complain why there's no good men out there.
I'm gonna tell you all a story, right? One of my OGs. The reason why I call this guy my OG is because he's my sister's friend. Dude is super talented. I hope that he's all right. He used to write poetry and everything like that. And my sister used to actually had joints of what he wrote and such. And me and him, we actually developed a friendship over time. So I used
Hmm.
to see him with his lady and everything. So by the time I was 20, going on 21, I'm not gonna go around and say, oh yeah, I was the positive guy that I was now. I wasn't. So, but at the same time, I was doing whatever I had to do. I was selling DVDs or whatever. So I went up and I bumped into my OG one day, and he was like, "Yo," I was like, "Yo, fam, I'm like, what happened to you? What happened to your lady?" He was like, "Don, I can't do it, man." I was like, "How come?" I was like, "Yo, how the heck the chick is like like in the 20s, that she got 7 kids. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. She's in her 20s and she got 7 kids. I can't do it no more, bro. I was like, wow. That was like in 2003. 2004, that was like my first time that I actually went to the Recon Parade and everything like that.
Mhm.
So fast forward, I see that same chick having an eye on me every time I always used to be in the hood of Westchester and Soundview and all those areas. And sometimes when I even used to hang around Parkchester. So she always had her eyes fixed on me. I was like, no, get your over your in my mind. I was like, get your over fertile behind away from me, because I'm not gonna be baby father number 8. So I could actually say, because me and Pete, we was actually talking about it. That I've dodged a lot of stuff in my lifetime. So going back to the point where I was trying to say is that with now that you have certain people who they want to compete with their daughters over the same guys, I'm
Huh,
like,
that's dangerous.
it is. I'm like I don't know. Even though even though I'm in my 40s and I'm a married man, right?
Mhm.
I was that's like it's even to the point that now you have men who are actually competing with their sons for the same females. And they're single fathers. I'm like, they ain't cool. It's not cool at all.
That part.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there was this woman. She's in her 30s, and she had a video that gone viral, talking about that she a single mom. She has 7 kids by 7 different dudes, and gets $3,000 a month in food stamps. And then flexing about like it was a big thing, like it was like a major accomplishment. It's like, and then people talk, and then she's talking about, well, people are jealous at her. I mean, jealous of what? A person that made poor choices regarding uh, who she gave them the privilege of bearing a child, and
The,
then
pe-
parading her children around while
the,
she's
peop
doing her.
the people are jealous of how comfortable she is now because of whatever situation she got herself into. Makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
That
No.
makes no sense. Oh no, people are jealous of me. Why? Because you're comfortable sitting on your butt
And
and you're
she's
Trust
being
me.
bragging
Just
about
like,
she has no, and she's bragging about she has no bills to pay.
yeah, because she's
Sure, because
maintained. She's maintained. She's comfortable. But guess what? Esta es la realidad de la vida. This is where the truth comes in. When you are a young body and you decide to get comfortable when you're young, your body ages faster and you become old faster. Now, here you are,
wow.
so unhealthy because you decided to sit on your butt for the last 30 years of your life. Okay? This is why retirement is retirement. When you retire, you finally sit down and you relax so that you're not tired or getting re-tired of what you did. You want to be young and comfortable? That's fine. Once you get old, don't count on your body to move like how it used to move because you weren't moving for it. And like
Mhm.
we always say, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's nothing to be jealous about. This person's gonna die young, and none of those benefits are gonna keep going forward because it's probably all based on her. So while she's
Mm.
comfortable, her next of kin, these seven seeds, are not gonna get help because of all the help that she got. For one thing someone else ends up paying for. Listen, it's like this. It's the law of the land. Hard times produce a harder generation. That harder generation works so hard to make things easier that it produces an easier generation. But easy
Yeah.
generations produce easier people that break under pressure faster, which brings us back again, right back into hard times, which will make harder.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
it is.
Sure is, man. Guys, I'm gonna let y'all go. It's 11:30. Um,
You all, it was nice that you came, Pete, and you're always welcome. And
Yeah.
I
okay.
hope that, and I hope that on Wednesday we actually break bread, and next Friday we break bread. Well, break bread also.
Right.
Well, hopefully at some point you'll consider visiting my platform.
I just need an invite. I don't know. I don't know what other people are doing unless I'm told about it. So if you have a
Okay.
stream, if you have a stream as well, I would be more than happy to listen in, step in. If you want to ask me questions, interview me, whatever, I have no problem with any of that. I just need to be told ahead of time so that I can put it in my schedule.
No
Cause
problem.
right
No.
now I'm working on building a martial arts school, and even though I only have 14 students at the moment, the schedule is different because everyone has a different lifestyle. So sometimes I have time, sometimes I don't have time.
You know,
Right.
it's you
Right.
know what it's understood. It's understood. I just what I do is every week I do my content. Whoever is able to pop in, pop in. Whoever, I mean, they'll just have to catch it on the playback. That's all. I get it because we won't have lives. We'll have lives outside of YouTube. It's just that right
Exactly.
now. It's just that
Some
right
of us do.
now. It's just that right now. The reason why I have more time is because I'm recovering from surgery. I had a knee replacement 5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere soon. You might as well cast.
Yeah.
Did you get the double joke there? It was a double pun. You're not going anywhere, so you might as well cast. Get it? Because you
Yeah.
put a cast on when you break something.
Actually, believe it or not, I've been walking with the aid of a cane for 3 weeks.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the military, I had got shot in my face, and I went into a deep coma. When I woke up, I had to relearn how to walk. So I know what it is to that the joy of, I'm walking, even if it's with a cane, because I wasn't walking at one point. Like, hold on.
Yeah.
But guys,
I've been through.
blessings. Um, Try to get my information from Armando so that way I could tune in and all that good stuff. I'm a man of the people, and I love to help. So cualquier cosa que le pueda servir, estoy disponible.
Está bien, gracias.
That's
Blessings
how
to
it is.
everyone.
Okay, good night.
Um, and good night. Us.
Good night.
Oosh.
Peace.
Peace. So it's like this. My thing is that with all the political spectrum that's going on, it's like I don't know. But switching to another topic.
Yes.
So as soon as I guess when you get healed and everything, and I know that your lady, your special someone is gonna come back maybe around that time, and I know that you have a lot of trips that you want to make. So I went up and I actually looked at the hours and such, and it looks like where you would be at and where Denise would be at. It'll be approximately 2 hours.
Hmm.
So maybe y'all could actually link up or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. I mean, right now at this point, I'm focusing on a full recovery, and believe me, because I'm not used to not actually going to work. I mean, that's something that's like, that's completely foreign. I know some people, I mean, that's a normal way of life. It's just that I gotta focus on my recovery. So while I
I
focus
hear
on my
you.
recovery, I'm just gonna produce, content. And and I said this before and I said it again. A huge shout out to my supporters. I mean, my platform to continue to grow. I'm at 433 subs today, and
Yep.
okay, and all of it is positive content. I don't have to attack anybody. I don't have to dox anybody. I don't have to call anybody names or whatever. I don't have to make allegations regarding their dental hygiene or whether they have an STD or what have you.
Yeah, no, I mean, me personally is this. If you're gonna go that, if you're gonna stoop that low or anything like that, my mother, my mother had a word for that. That means that that person was uncouth. So you can't really go and have certain things or focus on uncouth people. You just have to keep pushing and go forward. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And then when anyone that slanders me or uses my contact without my permission, guess what? You're going to be reported. I have no problem with it
Yep. Mhm.
because you cannot engage with these individuals because once you engage with these people, you give them authority. It's just that some people, I mean, I mean, they need deliverance.
Yeah. Or they might need to be held accountable for all the crap that they have done. Because think about it. If a person who actually was being accountable held accountable for what it is, right? A
Yeah,
person is not going to go and do all the stuff that certain people or entities do when it's when it's concerned as doxing, being oversensitive and everything like that. If people are friends, I'm like, this is one thing that I don't understand, right? And this is to my friendship with Jojo. If a person has no has and don't have your best self interest at heart, right?
hmm,
Why is it that they try to stop a friendship or they try to stop a person from talking and everything like that? When the fact is you don't have my best self interest. Like just be quiet. That's one thing I don't understand. I mean, I'm just talking about it in general. Let's say if you and I, we know each other and we actually talk with each other behind the scenes. But
yeah,
let's say if but then somebody will always try to throw a wrench on what we're talking about or anything like that. If you don't have my best self interest, why do you care if I'm a friend with somebody that you don't like? That's one thing I don't understand. You don't have my best self interest. Why do you care?
because you have certain individuals that have nothing going on in their lives, nothing positive going on, and they're not happy until they make people miserable.
Mm.
That's why.
Right.
And basically, the reason why we're dealing with it is because we're cool with certain people that they're not cool with.
Mm.
That's the bottom line. It can't. They cannot stand it. I mean, it bothers them to no end.
I mean, to me, it's this. And talking about certain stuff. You and I, we was actually talking about this a year ago.
Yes.
Now look, it's like it's mind-boggling. That's all I got to say.
Well, it's the circus being the circus. The circus is alive and unwell.
Yep.
Okay. There's no other way to explain it. I mean, and I mean we know other people that have been victims of the stupidity. I mean, they got nothing better going on with their lives. I mean, they should be look what people like that, what they need to do is get off of social media, get therapy for at least a good 6 months so they can recover from whatever trauma, whatever that they're going through.
Hmm.
But to be constantly doxing other people, to be threatening people with their employment and all that, to cast aspersions regarding other people. I mean, look, I've been here in these YouTube streets for 3 years. At this point, everyone knows of my reputation.
Right.
Okay? So if you're going to listen to what one individual said, then you know what? That speaks a lot about you and how weak you are.
Yeah. I mean, me and Jojo, we was actually talking about it right there because there's a certain concept creator who I'm not going to name. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be attending their show, and I'm not going to be attending their live streams no more because if you let them go and have certain people who actually espouse fake positivity, but yet they want to go and they actually want to harass and demean other content creators and everything like that. Okay, well, guess what? You're not going to actually hear my voice or you're not gonna actually see me on any of your live streams, and that's what I'm gonna do. Because at the end of the day, I went up and I started being in the YouTube streets not because I wanted to. I had like a YouTube account for years, but I didn't think about all this crap. And then when I went up and I just presented myself, oh, I get all the hateful crap there is. I'm a fake this. I'm a that whatsoever. And it's to the point I don't care. Because at the end of the day, you have certain people who are just mad just because you're friends with people they don't like. When the fact is, 9 times out of 10, if you don't even have my self best interest, so why would you care? So therefore, you're caring about two people that you don't like that have a friendship, and you don't like that person as being a friendship. To me, it's just stupid. I mean, think about it. If think about it in my thing, if you like if there's a person that did you wrong, right? You're gonna go take it out on other people that don't know what your beef is, but yet you want to go and have all this drama and all this stuff. To me, is immature because the people that you actually started beefing with over a perceived threat, they could have actually been your friends. But no, but since people want to be arrogant and they want to actually make lies, fantastic lies at that, and saying this and that and the third, let's be honest. What makes you think if it was like a corporate setting or anything like that, we would actually be friends. We're not, and that's how I'm moving. The thing is, though, we just have to move different, Jose, and that's what we're gonna do.
Exactly. I mean, look, I'm gonna deal with those who want to deal with me. Those that don't, you know what? Have a good day. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your miserable, pathetic existence and what have you. I mean, look. In a couple of years, I'm going to retire, and I'm gonna live my golden years.
Yep,
And this is the thing. There have been times I share a platform. I've been on the same platform with people I have issues with, but yet I managed to remain cordial.
exactly. Or civil, or how my mom used to say.
Exactly. But not everyone has that ability.
No, they don't.
Okay. No. But to be going, just talking about that I have an STD, that I hate mixed people, that I'm broke, no one loves me. Okay, if no one loves me, then explain to me all the greetings and all the messages of good cheer that I receive when I'm recovering from surgery. Okay, my Facebook and my YouTube pages are full of people expressing, words of encouragement when I was going through surgery. As far as being racist, then explain to me all the different type of people that appears on my platform. Explain to me all the
Yep.
people who are my mods.
No, no, but I'm going to tell you one thing that that really um feed me off. People could go and talk about all this stuff, but yet if you're gonna go and try to fabricate how a person treated their mother, that's the lowest of the low.
Yeah. Or lauding the image of your mother on the anniversary of her passing.
Yeah, but remember,
Okay.
Jose, we warned. I warned you about this.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah,
But my approach is not to engage with these people, but just to report, 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 report.
hmm
And then it's up to to the platforms in questions as far as what they're going to do.
yep.
But of course it takes a lot of bravery to just stand behind a computer and cast a false narrative, and because it takes a lot of courage to do that.
No, it doesn't. That's not
I,
courageous at all.
I'm being
I
sarcastic.
mean, I know.
Well, those are the type of people that we deal with.
Exactly.
But all I can say is that who has their hearts, they need prayer, they need deliverance, they need to be placed in a 72-hour involuntary observation period with a white jacket in a rubber room.
Right. Well, in that case, I'm about to close out, though, Jose.
Well, I appreciate you allowing me on your platform. And look, when it comes to the election season, you do your research regarding who who these people wish to do, and then you decide accordingly. But the main thing,
Exactly.
but the main thing, use the gray matter that God gave you and think for yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, don't let anyone think for you. Okay, then you just become
All
a
right.
member of the sheep,
Yep.
and it could be very bad for you.
Right.
So with that, I'm just gonna wish you good night. Good night to everyone in the chat, and we've got to do this again. Oh, are you going to the Dominican Day Parade?
I'll try to see if I make it because that's in my plans. If I
Okay,
do, I'm gonna let you know.
appreciate it. Well, with that, have a good night, and everyone have a good weekend. Take care.
You too. Well, I'm out. Thanks for tuning in. Historias Urbanas con Don Armando. On Wednesday, there's gonna be open topics again. I might do an impromptu stream within the week, so check that out. Goodbye.